Marco Rubio used to have a spine.
Let me tell you something. I will never quit. I will never stop until we keep a con man from taking over the party of Reagan and the conservative movement. He's a con man. He's a con man. He portrays himself as the strongest guy on illegal immigration. That's fine, but Trump Tower was built by illegal immigrants from Poland, who he paid $4 an hour, 12 hours a day. Okay, a judge found that he was involved in a conspiracy to defraud these workers of their pay.
There's just one of many clips of Marco Rubio actually saying what we all have all known forever, which is Donald Trump is a con man, and he says one thing and he does another. It's just fascinating to me watching that old clip and knowing that Marco Rubio knows what we know, and he has chosen instead to bend the knee and pretend like what he's seeing and hearing is not real and that what Donald Trump says is true. It's insane to me. I actually cannot ever imagine doing something that I know is not something I believe in. I'm not physically capable of it. Maybe it's a superpower they have that they can do that, because Marco Rubio is Secretary of State and I'm not. But I'd much rather have my dignity. And again, maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe you can't have dignity and be powerful in America today. But that's besides the point. This video is going viral of Marco Rubio. I've got two of them, as a matter of fact, who is saying one thing today, and as you saw in that previous clip, was saying a much different thing just years ago. So first off, here's what Marco Rubio is saying right now.
USAID, what's happening at USAID and how that affects the trip?
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct the sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars. And we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest. And so far, a lot of the people that work at USAID have just simply refused to cooperate.
Pretty strong words. Pretty strong words. Unfortunately for Marco Rubio, that's in sharp contrast to what he said just a few years ago. Watch this.
We don't have to give foreign aid. We do so because it furthers our national interest. That's why we give foreign aid. Now, obviously, there's a component to foreign aid that's humanitarian in scope, and that's important too. I promise you it's going to be a lot harder to recruit someone to anti-Americanism, anti-American terrorism, if the United States of America was the reason why they're even alive today. Anybody who tells you that we can slash foreign aid and that will bring us to balance is lying to you. Foreign aid is less than 1% of our budget. It's just not true.
It's just incredible to see how quickly someone can turn just for power. And Marco Rubio from a year ago is right that USAID is so important because we don't give it out of the goodness of our heart. We do it because it advances our interests. It keeps us safer. It makes democracy look like the shining star in the sky that we need it to. We want it to be something people aspire for, that it spreads goodness. Of course, we're doing it for our own self-interest, but it also does help people. And when you help people, they're more likely to like you. Just think about in your own life. You know, if someone opens the door for you, you think to yourself, oh, that was nice of them. You know, they don't have to do it. They do it to be nice. You immediately feel goodness towards them. And that is why we want to be doing this, because we want countries and nations to think positively of the United States. And while we're not doing it, and Donald Trump has cut 10,000 U.S. aid employees, a global program, to 300, less than 300. So it is essentially stopping. And that means our adversaries, like China, who does do things like helps build roads and they actually provide surveillance technology to young countries, they're more likely to gain favor, which helps them grow. And imagine this scenario where China's like, hey, we're going to help you with your malaria outbreak. How about in exchange for that, you just let us build a small base over here? No harm, no foul, right? So it is incredibly important that we invest in goodness because it helps keep us safer. And here's what Marco Rubio was just writing less than 2 years ago.
We urge you to use your fiscal year 2023 budget request for the Defense Department, Department of State, and U.S. Agency for International Development to send a clear message that the United States has a comprehensive strategy to counter the Chinese Communist Party's expanding global influence and the increasing threat that it poses to U.S. security interests and those of our allies.
Yeah, so Marco Rubio knows the score, and he also knows with this insane Gaza proposal Trump has put in place where he wants the U.S. to own it. Marco Rubio said, Gaza must be free from Hamas. As POTUS shared today, the United States stands ready to lead and make Gaza beautiful again. Our pursuit is one of the lasting peace in the region for all people. Okay, all right. And of course, are you getting the theme? There is a video of Marco Rubio actually attacking Donald Trump on this very issue. Here it is.
In all fairness, Marco is not a negotiator. I watched him melt down, and I'll tell you, it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. He's not going down.
He thinks the Palestinian is a real estate deal.
And these people may even be tougher than Chris Christie, okay?
The Palestinians are not a real estate deal, Donald.
Okay, no. A deal,
They're not a real estate deal.
A deal is a deal. Let me tell you,
a deal is not a deal when you're dealing with terrorists. Have you ever negotiated with terrorists?
You are not a negotiator. You are not a negotiator. And with your thinking, you will never bring peace. You will never bring peace.
Donald might be able to build condos in the Palestinian areas, but he's not going to. This is not a real estate deal.
Senator, he will never be able to do it. I think I may be able to do it, although I will say this. Probably the toughest deal of any kind is that particular deal.
So yeah, I don't know what's worse. To believe in Donald Trump wholeheartedly, or to know what Donald Trump is saying and doing is wrong and doing it anyway. I think it's probably the second one that's worse.
Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine, and in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, The Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman. Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/freebookstuff after ordering.